Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. It means we're running just a touch late. We was in closed session, so we have a motion to go back into open session. So moved. Second.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we're now into regular council again. So the first thing on the agenda will be the consent agenda. Do we have a motion or discussion on the consent agenda?
Mayor, I'll move that we approve the consent agenda as outlined.
Okay, do we have any discussion? Okay, consent agenda, by the way, is approval of the April 18th City Council work session minutes, approval of the April 19th council meeting minutes, and a proclamation for the National Police Week. So, seeing no discussion, we have a motion and a second. Let's go for vote. Mike?
Aye.
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 Okay, motion carries.
Mayor, who did the second?
Me. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Next thing on the agenda is public forum. If anybody in the audience would like to get up and address the mayor and council. Seeing none, we will go ahead and close the public forum.
Guys, we need to have the pledge and prayer.
Oh, pledge and prayer. We forgot all about that. Okay, sorry. We will start out. Linda will give us the prayer, and then Scott will lead us in the pledge.
I've got a good voice. Our kind and dear Heavenly Father, as we come to the opening of this Payson City Council meeting, we pray, Father, that Thy Spirit will be here with us this evening, that we might make decisions for the benefit of this great city. Father, please be with the leaders of this city and all those who are employed and all the residents who love this city. Please watch over all of us and protect us. And we ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. The audience, please rise and repeat the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, now we'll go to staff reports. We got any staff?
Just Mayor and Council, a couple of quick updates. We have right now between either residential and commercial developments, we have 12 that are in the process of, not meaning they're all approved or anything, but that are in the process of being submitted to work towards approval. And then we have probably 2 or 3 that are just like little 1 or 2 lot infill lots that people are building houses on. So it definitely has gotten a lot busier in the last few months. So. And then I don't see him in here yet, but I was just going to introduce our new employee, Daniel Jensen, that took Kyle's position. And so I think Jill went to get him, but he's taken that position and started on Monday. So he comes from Provo City, so he's got about 3 years of experience. So he'll be a good asset to help us get that going and working. So. But here he comes with Jill. So. Daniel, this is Steve, come up here. Right. But yeah, this is Daniel, and like I said, he's started on Monday, and so he's going to be helping us out there. So.
Welcome.
Thank you. Payson.
Mayor, City Council, residents of Payson, just as a quick summary of April, just finished up April. We had 112 arrests that resulted in 222 offenses, 201 citations that resulted in 283 violations, 1,036 calls for service, 1 DUI, 259 traffic stops, and 26 traffic accidents. I'd like to thank the Mayor and City Council for recognizing National Police Week that runs from May 15th to May 21st that recognizes the men and women that serve our law enforcement community, so I appreciate that. I don't have anything else to that. Is there any questions?
Thank you. Appreciate all you guys do.
Mayor and City Council, we just did our prescription take-back event at Payson Market on last Saturday. We collected 81.6 pounds of drugs, and so we'd like to thank Payson Market, the Payson Police Department, and our board that volunteered. And this year the DEA sent us little pouches, and these are a home disposal system. So you just open them, put your prescription in there, add warm water, shake it up, seal it back up, and throw it away. So if you guys would like some, or if anybody else, I'll just leave the box here of what we had left over. And this is the first time they've ever sent us anything. And for those of you who don't know, we also have a box right there in the lobby that you can dispose of your unwanted prescription drugs. So be sure and use that. And then we do take back events twice a year, and we thought this was really successful this time. So thanks.
Thank you.
I'll just set it here. Anybody wants one?
Mayor and Council, a couple things just to make you aware. As you've noticed, we've had quite a bit of moisture this spring. Weeds are starting to come up everywhere, so we have started working on those, started sending letters out to those we've had issues with the last year to give them heads up to get that the areas of the properties cleaned. Although that's not a catch-all that catches every property in the city, so as we receive complaints or we notice areas, we'll get those notified as well. A little bit of a change, rather than giving a second letter, we'll just move it forward through to the city attorney and let them move forward if we gain compliance within the 2 weeks that we typically give people. So move that forward. Also let you know we have the EMS open house this Saturday from 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock at Mountain View Hospital. In conjunction, they're going to be there, have a lot more activities and things. So it'll be good. We'll have ambulance and fire, and also we'll have air care there, and they'll have a bike rodeo. Hospitals arranged for a safety trailer for people to go through to see some of the conditions you'd have on fire and proper exiting and different things like that. Some hot dogs and punch. So if you're around, come get a free hot dog. Thanks.
Okay. Thanks.
10 o'clock.
Mayor and Council, I just want to remind you of our the Petite Meat Antique and Vintage Expo, not this Saturday, but next Saturday. So we will have our nationally renowned appraisers coming in the auditorium, just like we did last year. 3 of them are actually traveling with the roadshow that you watch on TV, so they're quite well known. We'll have vendors outside again this year, and we'll have the museum open. So this will be 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. And this is a 100% fundraiser for the Petite Meat Museum. So those also here from Payson City and spread the word. So if you have, everyone has that one item at home that they know is worth thousands of dollars that was handed down by their great-grandmother. So you're going to bring that and pay $5 that will be donated to the museum, and we have appraisers that will tell you how much that item is worth, just a verbal appraisal. So tell all your friends. I want to see everyone there. So we've done a lot of new things to the Petite Meat this year with art funding, new carpets inside your curtains, and just trying to do these small things that make a difference to the Petite Meat, make it look really nice. We'll be in a couple of weeks also we'll be receiving our flowers from the prison, and they are kind enough to donate these flowers to the Petite Meat. So once again, we need volunteers to help plant those flowers. So if you want a scout project or family home evening project, or we we would love all the volunteers we could get. And you guys are all welcome also, so we'll have donuts. So, is there any questions?
Yeah, what date was that again?
Let's see, the flowers, we don't know quite yet, so I will put out an email to everyone when they come. So I'm hoping it's the week after the expo, so.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any others? Scott? Brian?
Yeah, just a couple of things. I'd like to just thank the police department and recognize them for the National Police Week. So, if you like, what kind of treats do you want next week? Donuts?
I just wait for Travis to say it.
How about Shirley's rolls?
Anything.
Okay.
You leave it there, they'll leave it.
Okay.
Or Travis will be down.
You'll see Travis.
A couple other things. I don't know how many of you know Keith Morey, but I think he used to be the city manager here. But he is now the vice president of business development for EDC Utah. So we have should be hopefully a good tie-in for Payson to know somebody up there at EDC Utah. The golf tournament that the Economic Development Committee and Nebo School District is going to put on in a couple of weeks has been postponed till September because we found out that was the day that Nebo School District is doing their golf tournament. We went at Mountain View Hospital. A lot of people were involved with that, so that's been postponed. That's all I have.
Redo. Hey, I just wanted to thank the police department and all the rest of them, Trevor out to the landfill for making that cleanup week a success and cleaning up Payson. Thanks.
Okay, Linda?
I also want to thank the police department for monitoring those and the fact that they had, what was it, 200 visitors to the landfill. They turned back 73 for not having the trucks covered. That's going to start letting the residents know that they can't go out there with trash that's blowing out all over. So I really appreciate Kent and
the landfill also looks very nice.
it does look good. It does look good. So thank you.
As far as landfills.
Yeah.
You really, when you go out there, you can't really tell it's a landfill. They've got that clean.
Thank you, Scott.
Yep. Yeah, I just like to echo what Linda said about the landfill. I know it's a little frustration. I had a friend call me up and complaining that he got all the way to the landfill and had to drive all the way back. And he was upset, and I explained why we did that, and he mellowed out a little bit, and he said, I understand why. And our neighbors in West Mountain appreciate it too. I've got them all up and down. They complain about the trash that comes out, and so I think it's good that the residents of Payson are good neighbors on our way to the landfill as well. So I appreciate that. A couple other things too. I appreciate the roads crew. I know it seems like our roads are horrible in Payson, and they definitely need some work, and we know that, but they're out hard working, and there's so much money and so much material to go around, but I promise you that they're out there working hard, and I appreciate the hard work that they put in. Thanks to our police department. Appreciate all that they do to keep us safe, and it's a thankless job oftentimes, and I appreciate what they do. And then the last thing I want to say is I just wanted to, there's been a lot of people that have asked about the burned down houses around town, and we contacted the city and our city manager and Scott Spencer, and they are aware of those, and they're talking about those. Just for those of you who are here that might be interested in that, my understanding is if they're boarded up tight, then that's their private property, and we can't do anything beyond that if they're safe. If they're not safe, then there's some steps that we can take to tear them down. And the one on 1400 South, we were told to be torn down in the next 2 weeks. That's one that a lot of people have talked about. So I appreciate them keeping up on that, and I think it's good to know the law side. You can't just go tear down anybody's house. But we do want to make sure that Payson is nice and it's safe, and so we are working on that, and we're working on it. Thanks for the quick response.
Mike?
I too have to
echo what's been said about the landfill. It's good when we all work together to make things good for everybody, and that includes the beauty of our city, not only here but out there. And so I'm grateful and glad that we've had such a good response. Wanted to let you know a little bit about the chamber. Chamber's got some welcome packages we haven't had for a long time, and they've gotten busy. Shelley Thompson, the executive director, has got a lot of those things done, and we'll be having those back here at the office. Is she delivered any here at the office yet?
Not that I know of.
Well, it'll happen shortly. I believe that's correct, isn't it, Lorraine? And we'll have those, and that'll be a great thing for people moving into town. PCT has had tryouts for their production, and I had the opportunity to go to the board meeting this last Saturday, and they're going to have a great production that I think a lot of people are going to really like. So start putting that on your calendar for Onion Days and be prepared to have a good time. That's all I have there.
Okay. We'll go ahead and close the council staff reports. I'll turn the time over to Doug for the scout attendance certificates.
Okay, this is for all of our future leaders. We're excited to have our scouts here. We appreciate them. We appreciate their scout leaders. That's another job that sometimes is thankless. A lot of weekends away from your family on campouts and Wednesday or Thursday nights and doing all sorts of activities. But we appreciate the time that you put in to cultivate the attributes of civic duty, honesty, integrity, hard work, and all of those things that are accompanied in the Scout Law and the Scout Oath. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the names of everyone that has a certificate. If you're not on here, let me know. We'll have you come up and stand in a line, and then we'll have each one of you tell us what you like about scouting, your favorite part of scouting, and then when you're done with that, you can come get your certificate from me, and we'll have you come shake everyone's hand. Okay, so first one up, we have Byron Hapirai, Dallin Warren, Ethan or Ethan Fox, I'm not sure. Fox, all right. Okay, Trey Wortham and Nick Neves. All right, who's first here? You're Dallin? All right, Dallin, tell us what you like about scouting.
One of the main things I just like about scouting is that usually we get to do a lot of activities to help other people, and a couple times we can go help people when they need help in their backyards or anything like gardening or just helping out around the town. That's just kind of fun to help it be a better place.
Awesome, thank you. All right, you are?
Byron.
Byron, all right.
It teaches you good standards and valuable skills that you can apply later in life.
Very good. Ethan?
I like going to the camp out. They're really fun and you prepare for your later on life.
Very good. Campouts are my favorite part. Okay.
I'm Trey. My favorite part about campouts is the fishing.
There you go.
I think it's fun just because when you catch something, you can choose to put it back or keep it and eat it.
Very good. I went to the trout farm and I still couldn't catch a fish. So I'm not a fisherman.
My name's Nick, and I love campouts too. Spending time with all of our friends and helping people. This is like scouts.
Perfect. Okay, come grab your certificate and go shake the hands of. Thank you.
Okay, next thing on the agenda is the Mayor's Youth Award, Youth Recognition Award, and I'll turn it over to Kim.
So the first award we have today is for Logan Johnson from Payson High School. If you could come up. And it says, the son of Nicole and David Johnson, Logan is a member of the White Peaks Bicentennial Bagpipe Band. He plays the snare drum and enjoys the challenge of doing something new and is very proud that he is able to accomplish his goal of learning new things. Logan would like to finish his high school years with a 4.0 GPA and would also like to serve an LDS mission and eventually get married in an LDS temple. When asked about education, Logan stated, "Education is what is needed to survive in this world of constant knowledge and growth. Everybody has those days when they don't want to go to school, but I feel in the end everybody wants to learn and have a good education." Congratulations. Our next award goes to Trevor McDaniel from Mount Nebo Junior High. Okay, Trevor is a 9th grader at Mount Nebo and has been nominated for the Mayor's Award for the month of May. One teacher stated that Trevor is a wonderful student. He works hard not only to keep up with his assignments, but to really learn the materials presented. He is respectful and kind to others, helping fellow classmates learn as well. He is responsible and always completes assignments on time. He is conscious about his work and always does an outstanding job. Congratulations. And our last award goes to Jennifer Valencia from Payson Junior High School. Her teacher, Ms. Padlock, said that Jennifer clearly demonstrates what responsibility is. She's always ready to share with friends and help others. She does an excellent job at Parkview, where she tutors the little kindergartners. She's very mature and had a great time at the VA Center talking to the veterans. Jennifer always puts her best effort in everything she does. Congratulations.
And parents, you're welcome to come up to the front and take pictures. Go ahead and come up. Yeah.
Okay, thank you guys.
Congratulations.
Good job. Congratulations. Again, we want to congratulate these students. Quite an honor to be nominated by your teachers and your peers for this, and it's always good to honor somebody that's done good. So we appreciate each and every one of you. Next thing on the agenda is the Chamber Business of the Month. We'll turn that over to the Chamber.
Thank you very much. Want to just start by giving you a few ideas of some of the fun things we have coming up and letting everybody know. We were planning some great activities for the summer, and we have a fun event coming up for Free Fishing Day. So, Councilmember Welton, we can help you get a fish. Okay?
Thank you, please.
We also have our movies in the park that we're doing again this summer. We'll have 2 of them at Petite Neat and 2 of them over in Santa Quinn. So we have some great fun activities, and you can find out more about them on our Facebook page, just Payson Santa Quinn Chamber on Facebook, or on our website at paysonsantaquinnarea.com. So hopefully we'll see some of you out there with us. So one of the really fun things about working in the chamber is getting to know not only the businesses that are members, but the businesses that really make things happen. And a lot of the great things that we get to do as a chamber, we would not be able to do without businesses like our business of the month for me, which is Payson Market. They are so supportive, as you've already discussed tonight. They're very supportive of our community. And it's wonderful to see they understand the value of giving back to the community. We rarely have an event where they haven't given something, whether it's their time, their employees, their parking lot, or product, or just sponsorships. They're wonderful to step up and say, we want to help make good things happen. And because of that, they have been voted in as our Business of the Month for May. So I'd like to have the representatives of Payson Market come up. Thank you. I know. There you go. So we like to, we'll come up here and give you this award and get a picture. And we'll give you that. And then we'll have, and then we'd like our city council to come and give it. Let's slide over to the middle more. Use your
Right on the stairs.
Use Taylor.
Good to see you.
And I want to say the best bakery ever.
Absolutely. Exactly. Yeah, great. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks. Thank you. How are you? Good.
Great job.
Thank you.
Okay, the next thing on the agenda is I'd like to make an appointment for the Board of Adjustments of Sue Ann Larson. Do we have a...
Make the motion for the Sue Ann Larson to the Board of Adjustment. I'll second it.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Mike?
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Okay, she is unanimously put on, and we have the judge here to put her in. So, do you want to come up with the judge? Make it official.
You can face the audience. You can see my back. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Sue Ann Larson,
I, Sue Ann Larson,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support, obey, and defend
that I will support, obey, and defend,
the Constitution of the United States of America
the Constitution of the United States of America
and the Constitution of this state,
and the Constitution of this state,
and that I will discharge the duties of my office
and that I will discharge the duties of my office
with fidelity.
with fidelity.
Congratulations.
I know it's a tough position, isn't it?
Thank you. Great job.
Thank you, Judge.
No kids.
Okay, next thing on the agenda, we have a motion to go into public hearing.
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we're now into closed session for the request to occur public hearing to request to amend the conditional use permit for the Orchard View Assisted Living and Memory Care, formerly the Heritage Village. I'll turn it over to you.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So that was a mouthful. So it is a long name, but we did want to make note that this is a facility that was formerly brought to you as the Heritage Village Assisted Living Center. So the owners of the facility have decided to change the name of that. And so we have included that information in the documents in your packet, and that's what you will be known by for from this point forward. So the area that we're looking at, just for the benefit of the public that is here, the area that we're looking at is kitty corner from Walmart. So it is a 3 1/4 acre parcel that's located just south and east of Walmart. It's located adjacent to the Heritage Village Active Adult Living Center with 55+ community. So the applicant has gone through the site plan approval process, has received a conditional use permit for the initial phase of the project. This just shows the existing conditions of the site, that it is vacant. There is the directory channel that goes across it. It is adjacent to existing residential there, and then it is included in our South Meadows planning area. This is the approved site plan. As I mentioned, the applicant has received site plan approval for the improvement to the site and for the construction of the building. But tonight we are requesting some additional beds within the facility. This is the design of the building that the applicant is looking at to construct on the site. They're also using topography of the site to accommodate walkout facilities and a lot of nice landscaping on the site that would be for the benefit of those residents in this facility. So an overview of the request. First of all, the applicant has received some land use approvals already. The first one was the applicant, in March of last year, the applicant did receive approval of a conditional use permit for a 65-bed facility. The site plan approval has been granted also for him to move forward on the improvement of the site. Since that time, the applicant has determined that additional beds would be appropriate within this in order to accommodate, as indicated here, couples rooms or dual occupancy for Alzheimer or dementia residents. And so in order to accommodate 2 beds per room in some of the rooms within this facility, the applicant is requesting an increase in the number of beds from 65 to 90. There's been some recent email correspondence over the last couple of days of the number of units. Because the ordinance was recently amended to allow 30 beds per acre instead of the 20 beds per acre, technically with the calculations, the applicant would be eligible for 93 beds. The ordinance does indicate that the acreage is exclusive of roadways, and so it's a net acreage, not a gross acreage. And so with that calculation, the applicant would be eligible for 93 beds. That wasn't part of the original application, but the city council could increase the density to allow the maximum number that would be allowed in the zone. So that would be something that should be considered tonight, just based on that email correspondence that has been circulating among staff and some council members. Conditional use considerations. With any conditional use, it is the responsibility of the city council to determine if the proposed use or the intensity of the use would pose any negative impacts on properties within the immediate area. When the city council considered the 65-bed facility last year, you had determined that there would not be any negative impacts that the applicant could not address, and so the approval was granted. So tonight the request is would there need to be any additional conditions imposed on this particular facility because of the increase in beds? So we're not looking at the entire conditional use tonight, it would just be the increase in beds. And then of course the city can impose conditions that are necessary to mitigate any potential negative impacts on surrounding properties. So the amendment process is similar to the original conditional use permit, and that is you have to have a review and recommendation by the Planning Commission, and then a public hearing and a final decision by the City Council. So your options tonight
First of all, the Planning Commission did review this at their April 12th meeting, and they did recommend that the City Council approve the increase in bed from 65 to 90, and then the City Council may approve it as proposed, approve it with conditions, and then again, there was a request for maybe the additional beds, which I will let the applicant address further. That is my presentation, pretty straightforward. Hopefully you gathered that from the information included in your packet, but the applicant, Chris Hermanson, is here to address the council and answer any questions you may have.
Good. This is...
Mayor, at the beginning of this hearing, I should have said this earlier, I have a potential conflict of interest in that I've had business dealings with both these individuals before. I don't believe it would impact my ability to vote on this as a member of the council.
I also have business dealings, but I don't think it impacts my ability to vote on this. Mine's a little more separated than Mike's. So.
I guess while we're all on it, I have business dealings with him too, so. But maybe I need to go down and sit in the audience. This is a public hearing, but we'd like to hear, Chris, do you want to say something before we turn it over to the public?
Chris Hermanson. First of all, I appreciate this has been a long, drawn-out process for about 12 months now. Initially, we went after 65 beds in the planning and zoning. The facility itself hasn't changed a lot as far as the structure of the building. What we're looking at doing is we stretched it out a little bit, added an Alzheimer's and dementia unit, but what our focus is, I already own 2 facilities, one in Spanish Fork and one in Elk Ridge. And the issue we're running into now with the baby boomer and increase in our elderly population, we're finding a lot of issues with couples rooms. And in particular with the Alzheimer's and dementia, a lot of the research has shown that they actually do better sometimes when they get to the end stage of their Alzheimer's, that they do better as couples in 2 in a room. It also helps financially for families who, if they live for a long duration of time, helps financially if you put 2 people in a room, that we can help them offset some of those costs. The concern, I believe that you guys approved, initially the ordinance was 20 beds per acre, if I'm correct. So 30 beds, I believe you guys voted on per acre is now the ordinance. So even though we looked at our beds, and a lot of the rooms, we have 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom studios. We also have single studios with the option with the living area for couples. So with the number and the calculations we've made, do we think we're going to get to 90 beds? That's potentially. We could, but the issue is we want to allow enough opportunity for the growth in the community, and we don't know what's going to happen in the future. I already see at my facility, I have a lot of people that are living in small rooms waiting until couples rooms come available. So the issue that we have is, even though we were looking at 90 beds, if the ordinance says 30 beds, that actually, I believe, if you do the calculations right with the property we own, I think it would be 98 beds. So we're saying that it's going to be 90 beds, but the issue as far as staffing, the issue that came up with planning and zoning would be, do you have enough parking stalls and so forth for families and for employees? Yes, we do, and we determine that. But my concern would be that if we're going after 90 beds, if the ordinance, and I've already contacted the state of Utah for the Assisted Living Association, states that they go off of what the city ordinance allows. So if we license this for 98 beds and we're, I guess, only approved for 90, I think that the state kind of, if they license this for 98 beds and ultimately we end up with 98 beds, we're not out of compliance with the city of Payson, because I think the state kind of trumps the city. So I don't know if we need to work that out now, or I don't, like I said, I don't ever see it being an issue as far as the 90 beds with how many, 65 rooms. That isn't changing. We're not adding 90 rooms. It's just an opportunity, like I said, for growth. And if it's
good enough, the amount of people, if they're couples in the room, I mean, I think that you would
you wouldn't up the amount of people visiting that much.
No, you're exactly right. But if it gives us an opportunity for 10% growth, it's not going to be 10% growth in revenue because the 8 additional are usually will be individuals living within one. See, we don't charge double per room. It's typically we charge a set fee and then it's $500 or $600 for a couple for the additional person to live in there. So if it allows us an opportunity, yeah, we're going to maximize the facility to what the city will allow, and it sounds like the city will allow 30 beds per acre, and we have 3.23 acres or something of that nature. So doing the calculations, I think it's 90.
Minus the road.
Yeah, but yeah, if we can maximize the total amount, whether a discussion of 90-93, I think it's kind of a moot point because I have done this for 20 years. I don't think we're ever going to get to 90 beds. I don't ever foresee that, but it's that potential. So we want to, at least when we're going after this from the beginning, we want to go after the max potential that the city will allow us to do.
Okay. Jill, where do we fall on that? Do you know? Are we still good with as far as zoning wise?
I don't have the information that Chris has presented tonight as far as the state. I know that when it comes to residential facilities for the disabled, by state law, we have to allow those in residential zones. So there's a lot of flexibility when somebody's doing that in a residential zone because we allow residential.
But I mean, we've already approved it for 30.
We amended
in
the
the zoning.
ordinance. Yes, that is
in
correct.
the zoning.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
And so we have for the 30, but it does, you know, as Councilman Phillips mentioned, I mean, it would be exclusive of the road because it does say net acreage. And so that's where we came up with the 93. It comes to 92 something and we rounded it up to 93.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
No, do you have any questions for me?
I don't.
Looks like a great facility, Chris.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's definitely needed, and right now all the facilities in the area in a 20-mile radius are pretty much, the occupancy is still close to 90%. So this would be a big positive for the community. So.
Good. Thank you. All right, this is a public hearing. Is there anybody that would like to come up and say anything? Seeing none, do we have a motion to go out of public hearing?
So,
okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're now out of public hearing. Do we have any discussion or a motion?
If there's no discussion, I'll make a motion that we approve, do a conditional approval for the 93 beds for the, whatever the name is, Orchard Hills, Orchard View assisted living. And knowing that is what our ordinance says that we can do, the maximum, because we have to take away for the roadway. So the 93 would be the maximum, so we'd stay within our ordinance.
And we need to have findings with that, Jill.
Be preferable.
Do you want to add any findings?
With what's staff findings or what?
Well, how it benefits the community.
What?
How it benefits the community or meets the land use goals of the city.
How it benefits the community with findings.
I'll second it.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. Do we have any other discussion? Seeing none. Scott?
Aye.
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 Okay, motion carries.
I think it's going to be a great facility. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Okay, next thing on the agenda is the request to allow improvements on Plat G of Payson View Estates subdivision. And Jill?
I was just looking to see if the applicant was here. This one's pretty straightforward, so the applicant may have chosen not to be here tonight, but we are asking just for some support from the city council to do some phasing for this development. Payson View Estates is located above the Highline Canal. Well, Payson View Estates encompasses a lot of acreage in our community. They've actually completed phases A through F. And so the next phases are actually on the area that is known as Riley Orchard. So everyone knows where Riley Orchard is, above the Highline Canal, up on the hillside. And so Patterson Construction, or Patterson Homes, has purchased or has agreements to purchase all of the Riley Orchard over time. And so they are ready to move forward on their next phase. They actually received approval for Plat G and H back in 2008. And so it has been quite a while since they have received their final approval. Technically, their application should be terminated and they should start the process again. However, the applicants have been working with staff to modify their plans to update them to include any new requirement that has been adopted by the City Council in this last 9 years. And so they are prepared and willing to meet any of those new requirements. For example, there's new requirements for storm drainage that they're going to have to take care of. There are different requirements for some of the other utility systems. And so, as I mentioned, they are willing to make those adjustments. And so it is the recommendation of staff that the City Council just acknowledge those that final plat approval and allow them to move forward with this project without having to do a whole new application. So Plat G, this just shows what was approved back in 2008. So just to orient you, which I do not have my pointer, but the Highline Canal would be to the left of the screen. And so this is showing how those lots would be continued up the mountainside, up the hill face. And so, you know, it does include a variety of lots there, and they are wanting to phase this to make as much smaller phases. So they move forward in this particular market. This shows Plat H. So again, the Highline Canal is on, is towards the left of the screen. Canyon Road is located to the north. And so this area would go up to the mountain and all the way down to Canyon Road. So it is just continuing the existing housing product that exists in those existing neighborhoods. So they are wanting to have the smaller phases. This shows Plat G1. So they are wanting to just break it up in 2 phases per plat. And so they're looking with G1, it would just be the lower, you know, the western half of this development. A lot of the improvements have already been installed in this development because some of you may recall a couple of years ago we had some residents along Riley Drive and in that area that came in and they were concerned about the pressure of their water in that area. So the City Council had directed staff at that time to connect this neighborhood or this area into the new drinking water tank that Patterson installed several years ago to help improve their pressure. And so those improvements were done as part of that project. So at the time that they were putting the water lines in, they also put the sewer lines in and the laterals. So the only thing that really hasn't been done is the paving. So again, we're just looking for a motion to acknowledge the approval that was granted back in 2008 and to allow them to do smaller phasing on this. We will be bringing back a development agreement for you to review at your next meeting, but then they are prepared to move forward, finalize the improvements, and start having some homes.
Let me ask a question on pressurized irrigation. I know we don't have it up there.
Correct.
But if CUP comes through and we end up with an enclosed pipe, what do we do up in that area? Do we just keep them on what do you call it, forever, culinary, or do we look at, Payson City go back in and, or do we have lines put in for that?
You'd say that
we don't have lines right now put in, do we?
There's no dry pipes in right now.
So that's what I'm saying, or are we just betting on that 10 years, 5 years down the road, we're going to be just digging up the road and redoing, or just leave them on culinary, or?
I guess additionally, is there any financial impact to the city or the?
Yeah.
Well, and depending on the pressures of that line, there'd probably have to be a PRV to actually knock the pressure down even to go up the hill. So that, I mean, there's a lot of information we don't have right now that we'd have to get to even know what that would entail.
Well, I just hate to see all the new roads get put in
without a PI line.
Without a PI line, and then we have to go back through, even if it's just a main.
Right.
Even 5 years down the road, why would you want to run a whole new road again? I know it's the way.
I think it's great, something to look into for sure.
Yes. even if it costs us a little bit or whatever, I would think that we'd be better off to, I don't know, do something. If you took it over to a box and just ended it, and I don't know. That's just, I'm throwing that out. Because I know that it's coming soon.
We'll take note of that and we'll talk with the applicant about it and see.
I mean, you got a lot of developments
some
that I think that we're
recommendations.
not addressing that with. So, okay.
Jill, I have a question for you.
Yes.
If you go back one slide to the first G or two, why, when you get to 450 East, there's just a little bit of road that has to be in there to finish that, so you got a circle in there, and so you can finish that road. Why wouldn't you just include those 6 lots and just have that finished?
I'm not sure why they faced it that way. But so you're talking about those few just on the north side.
Right. And then you continue your road, you get it all done, instead of just having 2 ending roads.
Right.
And 6 lots, and it's not that much road to put in. It just seems like it'd make more sense if you go back to them and ask about just doing that in one phase.
Right. And with the applicant not here, I really can't understand, I can't respond to that, but that could definitely be something as a suggestion in your motion, and then we could discuss that with them, and maybe favorable to that, and we can definitely pass that along if that's something that you guys would support, you know, as far as just including those last lots just to complete that loop.
I think it'd be cheaper for them to have doing it in play.
And there is quite a bit of demand right now for lots, so.
Yeah, I think they just finished selling their last couple of lots in Plat F, and so that's why they wanted to move forward. But if you want to include that in a motion, we will definitely discuss both of those issues with the applicant and see what recommendations or what information we can find out and notify the council of their plans.
Okay, do we have a motion or any other discussion?
I've got an odd question. Well, probably odd to some, to me it's not. We talked about what are our lighting ordinances? I sent Dave probably a year ago some information on lighting that maintains the night sky a little bit better and eliminates light pollution. And we talked a lot about, when I ran, I talked a lot about growth, but trying to maintain who we are. And some of the nice things about Payson is that you can see the night sky and it's beautiful. And we live down there. Is there any provisions in there for lighting? And there's certain lightings, and a lot of communities have it, that it protects the street, but it limits light bleed, and it's more than just LED lights from what I understand.
And it doesn't look like we have anyone here with Payson Power. So I don't know if Payson Power is looking at doing a different type of lighting on the hillside, because there are some different challenges and opportunities that you can have on the hillside. But if we did want to look at like dark skies, you know, a lot of communities do implement, you know, dark sky ordinances because they do want to maintain the ability to enjoy the evening, you know, the night skies. So, but without someone from Payson Power here, I'm not sure if they would be considering something different on the hillside. That could also be something that goes back to staff to consider. This particular phase may not be as much of a concern, but as you continue to progress up that hillside, it could be very visible from a lot of area within the community, and we may want to consider that.
Okay. Any other discussion or motion?
I would like to see dark sky lighting. That's in disclosure on my side, I live right there, so that's a bigger issue for me personally. But I know that our neighbors are doing it as well too, and so if Elkridge does it, Salem does it, and Payson's not doing it, kind of defeats the purpose. I mean, I don't know what the cost is and the burden is on the city. If it's excessive, obviously that's a different issue.
What are you saying the other cities have an ordinance?
I know Elkridge does. Actually, I'm not entirely sure about
Elkridge
Salem.
just doesn't require any lighting.
Well, that's how you get dark skies.
Payson isn't paying for it, so.
That's right. That's right. You only do it if you. Anyway,
and we could definitely continue that conversation in general for the city.
I would like
you know,
to
how we
see
wanna
some sort
address
of a discussion about it. I'd like to eventually see an ordinance unless it's excessively expensive, but I'd like to see that conversation.
And maybe for this particular development in this phase, maybe it's not necessarily a requirement until we know more about it and how.
But it is right by the mouth of the canyon.
Yeah.
Like that's where people go to see the lights. They go up the canyon, they go hiking, they go hopefully camping in Forebay, and all that light will bleed over there, and it kind of destroys the experience that we're trying to build, I think.
So Jill, on the motion for this, you talked about a preliminary and final plat approval. Is that what you're asking for?
So it's just acknowledging that the 2008 preliminary and final plat approval for plat G1 and allowing them to move forward. Because as I mentioned, technically, we should be terminating their application, having them start over. So if you're comfortable with maintaining the preliminary and final plat approval from 2008, that would be the motion, and allow them to do smaller phases.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we let them continue with their preliminary and final plat approval. It's already been approved with making smaller subdivision, but with the provision that we look at continuing 450 east to finish that road, looking at putting dry piping in for pressure irrigation, and looked at the low lighting.
I'll second it. Okay, we got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Scott? Oh, go ahead and vote.
Aye.
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 Okay, motion carries. Next thing on the agenda is the ordinance and discussion regarding the zone change request for the property located on Goose Nest Drive.
Okay. So this is the item on remand. The City Council did hold a public hearing at your last meeting. You directed staff to go, and the applicant, to provide some additional information before you made a final decision on this request. So this is going to be a joint effort, because I know that City Manager Tuckett was able to talk with the previous owners of the home that is on Goose Nest Drive, and so he has an update on that. There was questions about, or concerns with having additional wells and septic tanks in the area. And so one was just to provide a little overview that the council recently approved amendments to the MH2 zone that would allow, under certain circumstances, wells and septic tanks to be used for new construction. So it is a very limited use. It's for a lot of records. They have to have frontage on the existing street. So there's about 8 different requirements that someone would have to meet in order to be eligible to have the well and septic tank. So it's still going to allow some of these property owners to utilize their property, but still provide us the ability to look at it for long-term, having a master plan for the area, trying to get utilities in that area at some point in the future. They must satisfy the regulations of the state and the county, because it's the county health department that actually regulates wells and septic tanks. So they'll have to, and the applicant, so Nedra Call, has been working with the county to meet those requirements. And then she has some additional information tonight to help you. I know there were some concerns with additional wells, how it would affect existing wells in the areas in the same aquifer, but she has communicated with or received some information from some other individuals that may help you answer those questions. Fire protection was also mentioned about what requirements would need to be satisfied in order to meet the fire code. She has also reached out to a fire protection company that would be installing the internal fire sprinkling system. And then I know the fire chief is here if you have any specific questions for him. Notification of the canal company, that was also brought up as a concern. And just so as a side note, the Bureau of Reclamation, the Highline Canal Company, private utility companies, there's several of them that have an open invitation to all of our DRC meetings. So each of these applications, whether it's a zone change, a subdivision, a site plan, any project that is being proposed in Payson City does go to our DRC, and those emails are sent out for every meeting, and so they are notified that, and they are welcome to attend and address any concerns with the canal company or any other private utility. And then I did notify Derek Whipple about this meeting and the previous meeting. So emails were sent out notifying him of the meeting because we did know that it was a concern to them. And then lastly, the applicant, because they are asking for some of the improvements to be waived at this time, there will be a deferral agreement that will need to be approved by you that will address, once they put the well and the septic tank in, once the utilities are available, how will we address the connection? How will we address the widening of the road and the installation of curb gutter and sidewalk? So any requirements that would that the ordinance allows to be delayed, we will include those in the agreement. So at such time the road is widened or those utilities have been extended, then they will address that they do need to connect onto to the city services. So that is, those are the items that were included on remand. The applicant, Nedra Call, is here to address some of these issues and answer any questions you have in her hopes that the City Council will make a decision to approve the zone change tonight.
Okay. Come on up.
What should I do with these?
Oh, do you want me to? I can have them out.
I just have the for your information. Oh,
and then what we need you to do is go to the microphone and then just state your name, just so it's on. Yeah, it's one of the formalities.
I will. Never call.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Mayor and Council, for this opportunity. Like Jill said, I'm asking for a piece of property to be zoned M2. It has been R1. My son owns 1 acre there, and I have 0.6, and I am deeding that over to him so that he could build one home up there. Most of the surrounding property is already M2 up there, and so we're asking for that change. There was a concern last time about whether if I have someone hook onto the well I have, if it would diminish the water or cause a problem with homes down the street or across the street. So I had 4D plumbing experts in wells in Utah. Probably some of the best, and in Utah County, they're probably about the only ones that I could even find. And I've been working with them. And they sent the letter that you see. They did some research, and he, as you can see, he feels that, just in the very bottom last two, sentences, as far as I know, a well owner has the right to pump their well according to the state water rights. If there is a problem, it is their jurisdiction and responsibility. I do not think any other entity has jurisdiction over water wells other than safe drinking water. So his opinion was that it would not affect any other wells. He said he has some wells that are a fourth of a mile away that have been affected, they've seen some, well, you can read it there. He says, I have seen wells 1/4 mile apart that did interfere, but not enough to affect the output. He's also seen some that are 20 feet apart of each other where there was no interference. So he didn't think there would be any problem at all. So then I contacted my water attorney, Robert Filler, up out of Orem, and I visited with him on several different things that he's been working with me over the last couple of years. I just took one statement out of the last email that he sent me, and he said that there is one case, and I have attached that case. If you can understand all that law jargon, then I've attached it for you to read it. But it says there's one case that held that the mere reduction in level of water by reason of another person's city's wells was not a grounds for denying a change application. Stated differently, no one is entitled a fixed level of water table. And then he says, see the attached law or the case that he cites. And then I have talked with, I've had my well. They have tested it several times, and it tests out perfectly fine. I have them coming, if this change goes through, I've had them coming to dig for the septic tank, to check the soil, to check the drainage, all those kinds of things. I have talked with Scott Spencer about what to expect for the internal, sprinkling system. Yeah, sprinkling system, which is already in place in a lot of other homes. I've contacted Kim Montague, who does that work. He said it's about $1 to $1.25 a foot, which we're perfectly willing to pay. What else have we done? we've done a lot of research and talking about it to see just having this one piece of property. We're planning to put a very nice home on that one piece of property only, and just ask for your support in changing that one area. That one.
I think my only issue was just the existing water line.
Oh.
And I think we got that. My question still is, if something goes wrong with that, who owns the house it goes to now? Lalu?
Lelux. Jim Lelux.
Were we responsible for that line, or they are, or how does that work? I guess I'm really confused on that whole line.
It's a private line that was put in. The Burton family said they put it in. They gave us the years that they did. They said the city approved it, but we haven't been able to find the minutes. But we know that it wasn't the city that went and put the water line in. It's a private line.
So if that breaks between ours and theirs, then
they're required to repair
it's just their deal. That's nothing to do with us then.
And it's a long area, but it was one they petitioned the city, and the city allowed them to hook on back in the day.
It's a very small pond.
But it's not a public water line that would have to be
So that
maintained by the city.
It doesn't affect going by her property or anything close enough to.
Nope.
Okay, that's the only thing I was wondering about. That was my whole concern. Okay, do we have any other questions or concerns or a motion?
I'll take another stab at this.
And Councilman, just before you start a motion, just a reminder, because we mentioned this at the last meeting, but I failed to do it tonight. Her original application included all 4 parcels that she owns.
Right. And it's just
and
two.
she's just a 2.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay, I make a motion that we change the zoning from parcel 30-056-0015 and 30-056-0016 from R12 to residential zone, or R12 residential zone to an MH2 Mountain Hillside zone.
Okay, we have a motion.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none. Mike?
Aye.
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 Okay, motion
Thank you.
carries. All right, thanks.
And then Mayor, also, I just noticed that Siri Davidson just walked in, and I know that she was here at the last public hearing, and so I don't know if you want to give her a moment to address the council and maybe answer those questions. She did raise some of those concerns.
Well,
So.
or you can get with her. Why don't you just get with her and let her know what we've come up with and give her one of the packets?
Okay.
Is that all right?
Okay, I'll do that.
So, means that's already went through and everything else, there's no way to change it now.
We can do that.
So, okay, next thing is a resolution to review and adopt the tentative budget for fiscal year.
So that means.
Maybe.
Who's doing the budget?
Do we want to go to the next item?
Mayor, I make a motion here to amend the agenda as you see fit.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we'll go down to the next one. Retirement Plan Investment Manager Agreement with Kestra Advisory Services Resolution.
We're going to have Melanie just explain a little bit about this, then we'll go from there.
We'll get the budget stuff hooked up.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Jeff, I'm going to have Jeff Scott come up as well. Tonight we're proposing to have NFP, which NFP is our consultant for our health insurance for the city, but we would like to add one more arm of their services, and that is with regard to retirement plan services. We have a retirement plan with ICMA and would like to have a little more third-party oversight. So I've asked Jeff Scott with NFP to describe a little bit about their services and what they do.
Mayor Moore and Council, thank you.
First of all, the NFP's been pleased to serve the city's employees for a lot of years. And maybe to give a little context and background, Melanie and I met probably in the last 6 months. And as part of our other services, we did an overview of the retirement program with ICMA. And I want to be clear that our core objective with adding these services is to elevate the retirement plan. We want to help the employees of the city retire with dignity, and we believe through our services we can elevate the plan. We found through that analysis that there were some areas that could be greatly improved, and we made that analysis known and gave some details on that. And so the resolution you see is a proposal to adopt those other services that we're offering of the city's employees. Any questions from the council?
Any questions or motion? Seeing none? Questions? Any motion?
I can bring it up. I'll make the motion. So give me a second. I move that we adopt Resolution 5-3-2017 approving an agreement between Custer Advisory Services and Payson City.
Okay, we've got a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. Do we have any other discussion? Seeing none? Mike?
Aye.
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 Okay, motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, next thing on the agenda, let's do the master service agreement with ACOM Technical Services. Who's that?
I'll take that. Or are you going to take it, Travis? Mayor and Council, this is the contractor that does our testing out of the landfill to be in compliance with the well testing. They've been doing it for many years. They've changed their name and the contract had expired, so we're getting back in line so they can get their testing done. It's similar to it's the terms that we've had over the many years, and he's got it budgeted for, so we're just asking that the council approve the agreement so that they can start doing their testing out of the landfill.
We got a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the master service agreement with AECOM Technical Services to go forward.
Okay, we got a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay.
Aye.
Okay. Motion carries. We will now, is Sarah ready?
Yep.
Okay, we'll go back up to item number 5, review and adopt the tentative budget.
I want to
Okay.
bring something up.
Okay, hold on.
Where'd they go? I asked a question. I don't think Rick was here, but he was going to find out. Brian can answer the question about the replacement of the Bill Benson's position. If I remember correctly, we to balance the budget in the previous fiscal year, we use that. Yep, and he was going to find out the answer. I just never heard anything.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to sit down with Dawn, with his wife. She's leaving Huntsman Center, I think, Saturday. So hopefully this next week we can sit down with him and discuss it. But if that's a concern, we can work with it.
Well, I mean, you have a concern with it, Mike?
Possibly, yeah.
But we can go ahead and approve a tentative budget and still have further discussions before we approve it. So I'm okay with moving forward at this point.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll try to be quick. I know you guys talk about it a lot, but for the public, I'd like to just give as much information as I possibly can. So we'll just go over a few highlights and then address any questions. So I put up the last work session that we had. There are a few items that you guys listed out that we wanted to do. So we just wanted to let you know that we did use the Salmon Supper funds to put in for a branding study at a pavilion at Memorial Park. The department heads, we met last week, and we feel like
it would be better spent to spend that money on a branding study, giving this front office maybe a facelift. Because this is where developers come, this is the first image that they see. So that's just the thought that we're...
Okay, so let me understand, you'd rather not do the branding study to do the facelift?
Yes.
Okay.
Am I right in speaking that, Department? Yes. Anyways, we had a discussion on that and just...
And that was how much that we're talking about?
25,000.
25, because I'm not sure so much it was a branding study, was it, Councilman Gillett, is just a, maybe you better...
Yeah, it's somebody comes in and does a snapshot review of Payson City. They go around and look at the Payson, see what we can do to make it look better, be better, feel better. They look at the communities around us, so it's just a way to help us be a lot better, present ourselves a lot better so it's more than just the front office here. They'll be looking at things like that, but they look at everything in the city, the way we can present ourselves better to the public. So.
I'll take you on a field trip. We don't know, you won't have to pay for it.
Well, that's what we discussed as department heads, that who knows best? I mean, when those people come in, who are they going to come and talk to? They're going to talk to us, and we felt like, we could probably help to start to do that, to put our best foot forward and maybe think, okay, how can we highlight Payson? Because we know the gym is here in Payson. But just discussion, I thought I better put that out there because that's what we discussed.
So if you do this upgrade, what are we upgrading out here?
Well, we talked about, first of all, that office right there, moving that back into here, making this into a nice waiting area that people can actually come and sit. When people come to meet with Dave or for somebody, they have to come and just sit in here where all of us are working. It's not very professional. When they walk in, they just see, I don't know, it's just not very appealing. It feels like you've stepped back into time, Footloose era. So, I don't know.
And what about the council chambers?
Well, there was enough to get 5 chairs, but that's the newest, so that we'll probably have to leave that one out.
The one you're in, Mike? I'll say it again, I think this place... Yeah, these are bad chairs, I agree, and if it's going to make it better that I sit in this chair and everyone else gets a new one, that's great. But we really need to update the council chambers.
Yeah.
Really bad. I mean, if you go around and look at other cities, I'm frankly sometimes ashamed to come in here. Because we project an image that everybody in the Valley sees. We hear it all the time. Every one of us as we're out in the community. And this is not the image, I don't think, that we want to project. So I think that this has got to be a priority. It's just as much as it is out there. I agree with you what you want to do out there. But at the same time, I also feel very strongly about what Councilman Hewlett talked about. We've got to get this process going of getting Payson, giving it an identity. Because you know what the identity is right now is that it's the low-class place in the county. That's what it is. I mean, that's what we hear.
Right. And that was our main concern, is our image of Payson. It's not very good. How do we change that? And someone mentioned that in another city, a developer went into their restrooms and they were in an old building. He said, if you want to change your image, you need to start updating here, because when I go in and use your bathrooms, that's what I see. And
I agree 100%.
And I'm not saying that's a do. I just thought we put out there that that's what we felt maybe would be.
And I can agree with that, but also sometimes we look internally and we don't see things around us. It'd be really good to have somebody come from an outside perspective. These guys do for thousands of cities across the country, so they're going to know things that we just see every day that we don't know how it affects our image. I mean, we can look at the things that are easy to see, but a lot of other things. I don't know why that Sam Supper Fund had $300,000 in it. Why can't we do both?
Yeah, we can. And we're not saying that you have to do that. We just thought we'd let you know what we felt. If, that's what we had to do. If we had to choose, that's what we would choose.
Well,
so, just for discussion.
So we talk about our image around the valley. Whose image are we looking at? Like, how many people have actually been into the city-county building that are thinking about coming here?
like the average person is not gonna come into the council chambers or anything else like that. If they decide to come down to the Scottish Festival, they don't care what this building looks like.
They still look at our housekeeping. I truly.
They're not even gonna drive by this building.
Right, I agree with you, but I think they look at our housekeeping throughout our town.
Right, so is it better to spend money on the things that everybody who drives through the town sees, or just certain people see when they come in here? That's what I'm asking. And that's where I think Brian's study might be beneficial.
I would just like to say that, but everyone that does development comes in this building to meet with us. So this is the image we portray is what we have here.
I guess I'm with Councilman Hill. Why can't we do them both? I'm not saying do one or the other. I think we ought to do them both. We've got to get going down this road. We've got to start changing who we appear to be.
Yeah.
And I think it's...
That was all of our biggest concerns is our image of Payson, because we are viewed as the low-class city of Utah County, as Brad puts the West Valley of Utah County, right?
So I would suggest that we have them in our final budget, that they both be in there.
Okay. All right. We'll do that.
What were we saving a lot of money in the Sammy Supper budget for?
I have no idea.
Well, I would like to see it finish some of our trails. The
Well,
bridge.
we need to remember that
And
we've
part
got
of that
the
park tax money will do
tax.
that.
So we want to save those projects that we can use the park tax for and use the park tax for it, but the projects we can't, we want to use that
So
Sammy
the
Supper for.
pavilion, we're not talking about changing the pavilion down at the park, are we?
No, we're talking about building a new one.
Building the new
So
one, I
when
mean
it-
over where you're serving everything.
When it rains, the
Right.
sound isn't wet.
But I'm saying, we're not taking that out for anything.
No.
No.
We still got enough to do all.
Yes, right.
I was surprised we had that much, because we usually, when we've had some, we put new pedestals in the Memorial Park.
A lot of it, we've been using it.
I just thought we had used it as we got it, so that was.
Well,
I've been here, we haven't touched it.
Scott Spencer always got all of it from fireworks.
No.
Yeah, I think it's because we have Sarah that we have all that.
No, it's not me. Jeanette did a good job. We have Jeanette to thank for all that. Okay, so moving on, we put the RV park in. We did $150,000 using the revolving loan fund. So the golf course will pay that back. So it's not that we're just giving that money to them, it will be paid back. Cemetery roads, we did approve that in the last council budget, but I wanted to put that in there that we have addressed that.
So we're putting in all the roads.
Did it come in today or not?
It did come in today.
And?
Under budget. I think it was
170.
177 or something.
Great.
No, 170.
170.
Like 170 and a half.
Are we sold out down there now?
On the current lots.
We were only down to what, 20 or?
About 10 lots.
I think it's
10,
10.
20, last I checked.
Yeah.
But when will they start, Travis?
Travis, do you
Oh,
know when they're
they
going to start?
I hope next week.
The earliest they said they could start was the 18th.
Oh, is it 2 weeks? Okay.
Okay. The truth in taxation, we won't hear from the county till the end of May. The deadline is June 1st from the state, but Bert tries to get it to us by like May 25th or so. So we'll wait and see where that's at. And we'll discuss the property taxes a little later on. Having a fall and spring cleanup, we're doing a spring one. Did that just end, Dave?
Yeah, last week was the spring.
So that, and I think there was quite a bit of use on that, and then we'll do a fall one. So that's addressed. Speed up the process for planning and zoning and eliminate public hearings for applicants. They are working on that. In fact, Kim said that a gentleman on Monday after the meeting said having everybody there at once was awesome. It was a great process. So I think we're making the right steps. We're getting there, getting better. The Professional Way Road near the hospital, Dave reached out to the hospital, still waiting to hear on that. So Dave has talked to them. The lobbyist for Main Street, Brian, reached out to a gentleman. Do you want to say who it is, Brian?
Yeah, it was Greg Curtis. He used to be the Speaker of the House, I think, and now he's a lobbyist.
So Brian said it would cost about $45,000 to do it. you want to give information on what he said?
Yeah, what this 45,000 is actually a retainer, so you get to use them for a year for that price. So you could put other projects in there. He said, don't try to give a whole bunch because then you just spread it too thin. But I talked to him about the Main Street, and you know, told him that, you know, we inherited from the state with the concrete in there, and that it's a problem for us, and it will cost, you know, a few $1 million to be able to remove that concrete, and knowing that we'd be putting in the infrastructure after it was removed. And he thought we had it, and he, you know, whether it's 100% true or not, he thought that was a good case to be able to take to UDOT, and then if it didn't get through UDOT, take it to the legislature. But he does have a lot of contacts, so if we're really serious about Main Street, it might be a good start to try to get something done.
So does he say that about every job that comes to him?
I have no idea, but I would suggest that we bring him down here, and if we decide to do this, bring him down here and grill him and talk to him.
I think the key is his rapport with his. Sure, with them. That's the thing. If they like him, then I think it's a good chance. If they don't, it's not so good.
Well, I hate to say this because I like both of them, but I think a representative to the north would also be very helpful in doing roads more so than our representative here. He's been more willing when I've reached out to him to help out on projects that we have, even though it's outside of his area.
Who?
Representative McKell. Representative Roberts, I love him individually, but he does not really advocate for the community he lives in.
No, he doesn't.
He does on certain issues, but like there's a lot of issues he's really good on. When it comes to city issues, yeah,
I agree.
Okay. And did you want to say something? Did I hear you? Okay. Then the tour of Utah. Did you reach out to them, Dave?
Yeah, I heard from them today. They're going to try to meet this next week or the week after to start the dialogue.
Sweet.
But they technically don't do that, do they?
No, I think they have an ongoing contract with Park City because they go there every year. But they said they'd love to sit down and see what we could come up with.
And I'm sure they have an opt-out clause in there, huh? Might be my guess.
And if they want lots of money if we have a 3-year contract instead of coming the other way around, probably.
Yeah, it might not work, but I think it's worth having the discussion.
Oh yeah, you gotta have the discussion.
Okay, so the things that we haven't really been able to address, we've got the seasonal employees' wages. We're having a heck of a time getting anybody to apply for these jobs.
I wonder why.
Yeah. So we need to address those. We've got to find a way to do that. Our budget's so tight, we haven't been able to address that. Utah Avenue and 100 Orange downtown, replacing the trees. We just haven't done that because I don't know how much it's going to cost. So we'll have to wait and get some kind of...
Can you get some numbers? I'm willing to help and donate. I mean, it's really cutting down some trees and putting in some planters. It's cosmetic. I'm not saying we got to dig the road up. It's cosmetic for that.
Oh, okay.
Don't we have the planners already?
Yes, we
For
do.
years.
Yes, we bought them.
They're gonna be rotted out before we get them. Upstairs.
And then the employee for development services. If once you start adding in benefits, retirement, all of that, and for that type of a position, it could be over 100,000.
Yeah, I understand that,
So
but we compete with every city in this county.
Right.
And if we don't have the resources to get the job done quickly, we're kicking ourselves in the foot.
Exactly.
I had a long talk with a council member from Spanish Fork the other day, and he's just in Florida. We try to do without one of these. Now they're twice our size, so they've got more money, but they've had one for a while, and that's one of the key things that help them get where they are. I mean, location, location, location. That's number one.
Right.
But they know their development services knows when a business in town gets an award, and they know they're in talking to EDCU all the time, and they go to ICSC all the time, and they have all the working knowledge from a day-to-day full-time job status versus us trying to do it as a part-time status.
Right.
Like we try really hard, and I think we do a great job, but we just don't have it. You need somebody that's their job if you're really wanting to advocate and bring business.
And that's what we're hearing from the people, is they want to see business, they want to see development.
Right.
I mean, I don't know about anybody else in the council, I hear that all of the time.
Right.
And I'm not throwing Jill on the bus here, but 2 weeks ago we had Destination Homes with the apartment complex, and we couldn't do a final approval. We could go preliminary, but she said she didn't have time to do it, so we do both at the same time. So when we have people that come in, we don't have time to get the projects done, then it's something we seriously need to look at, I think.
Right.
So.
Nope, we agree.
Well, and when we have the 25 developments or whatever, like we haven't had anything for a long time, and all of a sudden we're popping, or potentially popping, she's gonna be even more busy than she is right now, so she can't keep up right now. How are you gonna keep up in this next year?
Right.
I think we need to find.
Well, and that's, you know, when we get down to property tax, we can talk about that and discuss if, you know, we can raise property taxes to cover that, so we can start heading in that direction. So keep that in your minds when we get to property taxes.
Yeah, you wasn't in favor of that one.
No, and I still think that we ought to bring that up. Nobody responded to the email, so maybe we have a discussion here, but truth in taxation, it's kind of good, but to me it just seems like you're putting a Band-Aid on things every single year. It's not enough money to solve the issues that we have. And I almost think that you say, look, if you're really concerned about your streets or about your water or whatever else like that, this is what we need to do to get us functional and to be able to bring people in and ask them if they want a bond. It's their choice, it's their town. But instead of just like nickel and diming these things, let's just say we need this much money, are you willing to pay for it?
Right.
If not, then we go back to the nickel and diming.
We need to do it in June like the school district does, then we can get it through.
We might want to do it before the school district does it, yeah. They might not want to vote for both.
Won't be left.
Doug, to address this nickel and diming, I think that's one of our problems. We didn't nickel and dime for 10 or 15 years, and so we're $500,000 behind the average.
I agree, but because we're so far behind, you got to take a more drastic step.
Right, and I understand that, but I think.
Yeah, I understand. I understand that. But if the residents are as concerned as Mike says they are, Councilman Hardy says that they are,
We need to ask them to pay for it.
then see if they want to pay for it. If not, well, if not, then we do what we need to do, or cut back what we need to do, and then the discussion is.
But,
You know, have that put on the next election.
And I just want to go back to our housekeeping thing. Have any of you guys ever been drove up in front of Linda's house?
Whose?
Her house.
I don't actually know where Linda lives.
But you gotta go to, just take a ride and report back to me in the next meeting.
Okay.
You can only get one car up the road. And that's where I say, when people come and they drive our town, our roads will never get better without the people putting curb and gutter. That's our minimum. I'm not talking sidewalk, I'm just saying curb and gutter.
30s.
But when you drive up a road,
the veins, the vein trees. Never mind.
Right south.
But somehow we've got to come up with a funding mechanism so that if we're not going to force it, if the city isn't going to pay for it, we've got to come up with some kind of a funding option so that so for them to be the bank, and so that if we want better roads, that we're going to have to pack a loan and put it against their property so that we can continue on improving roads, because without curb and gutter, it's a Band-Aid.
So is that something that we need to put in the budget?
I don't know.
Because that's not on our budget.
Sometimes we've got,
or does that go out to vote?
or it's never going to happen.
It's going to be big enough that you don't almost have to vote on it.
So you do it on a city level, or is it those improvement districts?
We've tried to do special improvement districts.
But you won't get the vote.
You don't get the vote. That's the problem.
What is the
Can I go out
nowadays?
to a citywide vote?
What? Is it higher than 51%, or what is it on special improvement?
It's 51%
It's a lot of work. Make you say, Dave?
Does it go back
a lot of work?
to these property owners eventually have to pay for it?
Yeah, you have to go through and you have to get
That the city,
they have to agree to
everybody
it.
pays for it.
Those that have already put curb and gutter in.
So you can't make it on everyone as opposed to saying.
Yeah, because I paid the money.
You guys have me or Sean or whoever asks already has. So you got half the town that's going to say, no, we ain't going to pay for it. No.
So I guess the question there is, does that, so we said yes to a small utopia amount, this would obviously be much larger, but we said yes because it would benefit the entire community, even though some people are paying more than they can't have. is roads a big a deal and as important as Utopia? Even though some people.
The only thing I'll say, more people use the roads than use Utopia.
Well, that's what I'm saying, so, I mean, I know there's the concern there, but.
And I think more people would use Utopia, but I think 2750 is a poor marketing plan, sorry.
Well, when you call in, it's $30 a month.
When what?
When you call in, it's $30 a month.
For 10 years, that's.
But that's the same price that I would pay for CenturyLink, for horrible service.
Well, then they need to market it.
Horrible
So you gotta.
I agree. Sorry to any CenturyLink employees.
Yes, sir.
Sorry, Jim.
Okay, so we balanced the budget. I didn't include any CPI increases on the utility rates. I did include that in my summary of, my budget summary, just so as I go into it, if you guys do prepare for that, I have that in there. But we had our debt refundings that helped, our sales taxes up by 5% on average, our property tax that we did last year, we used it for one-time fees, so we could use that for this year's budget. We didn't include any big major projects in the general fund. We did have the master plan, but that's coming out of the capital projects fund. And then departments tried to cut wherever they could. So we balanced the budget. You can see here, so I had to make a few changes since I sent that out to you. Like we found out our backhoe lease went from $4,000 to $9,300. That's why I'm skeptical of these police vehicle leases, because these backhoe leases were awesome, and now all of a sudden they're more than double.
Get you on the hook.
So that's why I'm nervous to just jump into this and say, okay, let's get rid of our vehicle allowance and go to this lease, when I don't know they're going to suck us in, and then they're going to triple, double, whatever the rates may be. So I just want to see.
Where are we obligated at the end if they did triple their prices? Why can't you just put that money back in and go to the car allowance again?
Well, you could, but then in order to get out of the vehicle allowance, you have people that have bought vehicles at different times, so you at least have to wait till it's paid off type of thing. So it wouldn't just be cut and dry type of thing.
As far as the lease goes on the backhoe, we are going to turn one back in and get by with the one during the summer, and we'll start looking at maybe purchasing them again, through the revolving loan. But it's getting up to where it's almost a purchase payment, and so it's been a concern going up that drastically the last 2 years.
Because usually on state bid, the city can drive them for a year or two, and you almost.
Well, that's what we need to. We need to get to a point where we have our vehicles on a rotation schedule, that because we can buy them at such a low price, sell them before they lose that value and make it back. Like we said, the trust said they're out $100 because they rotate their vehicles every 2 or 3 years, and it costs them only $100. So that's my goal, is eventually to get to that where we have all of our list of vehicles and get it on a rotating schedule, so we're not losing money.
So do you have a breakdown? You and I talked about the CPI utility rate increases.
Yep.
Do you have?
We'll get to that.
Oh, you've got it.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, so, well, I skipped over that. You can see our general fund, we balanced to the good of $3,000, so pretty close. And overall, you can see that we've balanced with 300. Some are closer than others. I don't like that, but that's where we need to really look at utility rates and see where we need to be. And here's just, you can see that our total budget is about a $38 million budget. And this is just showing you where our money goes: 37% operating, 30% to personnel, 11% to capital expenditures, so on and so forth. And so one of the things that we did, we gave raises to employees. We didn't do any raises last year. They paid more for health insurance, and we're trying to do that last installment that council started the initiative in 2015. And we didn't address seasonal wages like I discussed. We changed the health insurance plan to go from an 8.5% increase to 2% by going to that different network, and only having Mountain Star Network hospitals to choose from. So overall, between all of that, it was about a $332,000 increase in wages and insurance, and retirement, FICA, all that stuff. So these are some of the projects that we have in our budget. We've got the master plan, or the general plan. We've got money in there to improve and repair sidewalks. We've got two speed signs. I guess the 2 that we bought this year have been working awesome. Brad would like to, or Chief, I shouldn't call him that. Chief Bishop would like to get more, and he wants to put them at Goose Nest and 6th East and 4th North and 11th South. And I think those would be great for that. We've got the cemetery roads that we'll be working on. Hopefully it'll be done. Did I get that right?
1100 South Main and 400 North. We already have the 2 at 6th and 4th, or 6th and Goose Nest, sorry.
Oh, you do already have that one?
So we're just asking for 2 this year.
Right. I thought it was a Goose Nest, and then, so that's 1 and then 2.
4th North and 11th South would be the 2.
The 2, yeah, and the other 2 are already placed.
Oh, okay.
We got those last budget year.
Okay.
So just the 2.
Let's see, we got the pavilion at Memorial Park and then the branding study. And then if we add in maybe the facelift of this building, and if you feel like the council chamber needs to be done more than out there, you know, it's a discussion to have, but we'll discuss that. Water, we still have PI meters that we're trying to install. Hopefully we'll hear whether we get that federal grant or not to determine how much we can spend on that. And then our second installment payment, that's our second of our third.
Which is 400?
400,000. Well, 200,000 this year.
Two?
It was 400 last year, 200 this year, and 200 next year. And then the sewer treatment plant upgrade, we're saving for that still. So we earmarked 300,000, but anything extra we have, we're trying to put in there as well. So when we have to bond, have that big payment, we have as much saved up so we can reduce that bonding as much as possible. And we've got money in there to clean and repair sewer lines. There's a lot of lines that are behind homes that are potential liabilities for us, you know, sewer backups. So Jeff is going to start cleaning those out. And then the construction of the east side lift station, we have to contribute to that. Solid waste, our big purchase in there is the compactor. I think it'll be great. It'll help extend the life of the landfill. Ambulance is getting a new ambulance. And then storm, we're using fund balance to do some projects. We've got the Ridge Lane storm retention and then pipe and relocating the creek at 200 North and 200 West. The revolving loan fund, we've got that list of vehicles and equipment you've seen a few times, and the RV park. And all this stuff is in the budget document that it will be on our website and out on the PMN website. B&C projects, we've got 500 West, Blackhawk, and 6 East. And I don't know what that is. Okay, so our property tax rate. So this is last year's rates because we don't know what 2017 rates are going to be. But you can see Payson is on the lower end. The average of the Utah County cities is 0.0018. So we're on the lower end, which is good. I had quite a few people ask me, okay, if we went to the next highest, if we went to the average, what would that mean? So I tried to put it in a way that you can see what happens to Payson City. What does that mean revenue-wise? What does that mean for homeowners, which, you know, they only get charged 55% of their tax value. And then anybody else that's 100% tax. And you can see if we went up, so right now with our current tax rate as of last year and the last year's property values, it was 1 million, a little over 1 million. And if we went to the next highest, which is Alpine City, that would be an increase of $90,000 for us. The increase to a homeowner would be about $15 annually, and to a business or whoever pays, you know, 100%, it would be $21, $22. But then if we went to average, it would be about $460,000, a $77 annual increase for residents, and $111 for those who pay 100%.
What's the percentage in increases?
I don't know.
Like are we looking at?
It'd be about 50 from the Payson rate to the average.
I know Salem went 100. That ended everybody over there.
Their tax base is different, how long?
No.
Huh?
Salem just went up a year or
I
two
wanna
ago.
look at, well, Woodland Hills, but there's no tax base, so they have to do
Yeah,
it.
right, Woodland Hills not good job. This isn't in, is this in my packet?
No, it's not.
No.
I would actually like to have.
Yeah, I would too.
Yeah.
Could you send us that,
It's
please?
discussion right
Did
now. Did
Yeah,
you?
I can email it. No, I haven't. I emailed but I haven't emailed this PowerPoint. Oh, but
No,
the property tax I
Property
did.
tax, you emailed.
Yep, that property tax I did email to
But
you.
I would like to see this whole thing.
Yeah, yep. So,
Oh, there it is.
any more discussion? Do you want me to keep moving? So the new state law, we have to have a public hearing on our enterprise fund. So that's a new law. Typically, you know, we just had our public hearing on our budget adoption and that was included in there, but they want to have a separate public hearing for our transfers. And a lot of people, it's a hot topic, our transfers that we transfer out of enterprise funds. What happens is, if those transfers were gone away, we would have to more than double our property tax to come up with the transfers that we transfer right now from the electric and water and sewer to the general fund.
So in the whole process, when would this public hearing occur?
It will be June 21st. So the same time that we adopt our budget or decide to do a truth in taxation.
And we gotta
Yes.
go.
Yep, so the 21st will be our public hearing, and that went out in the newsletter, so they'll have this notice, they'll have a write-up. I put together a little description about,
Really good or really bad timing.
right. And in the state code, it was very vague on whether or not you had to include the indirect service charges. Those are our overhead charges, so electric doesn't have an account, it doesn't have a CFO, CEO type of thing. It doesn't have its own utility billing system. That's all ran through the general fund. So that's what the indirect services are. It's overhead that they don't have. If they were on their own, they would have all those costs. So that's what those are. And I just included those because I want to be as transparent as possible so people can see exactly what they're doing. I don't want anybody to think that we're trying to hide or pull the wool over anybody's eyes. So that's also new that we've included this year. So our utility rates, once again, I mooched off of Provo City. They're so kind to share their utility rate studies with me. Our average, so they do their average monthly water cost. You can see based on their, parameters, you can see that we're below average.
Well, but I'm going to point out one thing. Other than American Fork, none of them other cities have any tax base. All them on the right?
Oh, yeah.
Woodland Hills has none, Elk Ridge has none, Mapleton has none, per se. Cedar Hills has none, Pleasant Grove maybe, but Salem, no. Linden, but I mean, compared it to the...
Cedar Hills has a Walnut.
Yeah.
Kim just said.
Yes, it is.
But I mean...
American Fork, they've got a good tax base.
Yeah, they do. And Pleasant Grove is pretty...
Yeah, so it's Pleasant Grove. Yeah.
They've got probably 3
Yeah,
times.
I would say Pleasant Grove, Cedar Hills, and American Fork, and even Linden.
But yes, I didn't really look at the water.
Linden's
So I
got
was looking at
Walmart, too.
utility rates.
They got-
I didn't see the
Well-
water part.
Oh, water.
I didn't see the water.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, I
yeah.
think we're definitely low on water.
Sorry, yes. So that's just the water. This is our sewer. So with our $15 rate increase, but as we all know, I'm sure the average is just going to right up because there's quite a few cities that are going to have to increase their rates. Salem's probably going to
Salem's
have to
gonna-
double theirs,
Yeah, they're going more than double on
which
theirs.
I'm not looking forward to. So,
And I think Salt Lake in their budget, I just read something that they're doubling theirs too.
yes. Yeah, so I mean, it's,
Does there appear to be any change in the federal government's mandates as to timing? Or are we still looking pretty much at 2020?
I think we're still looking at 2020. We just met with Brad
I think so.
a month ago, and he's,
For those nutrition limits, or those
Yeah.
new limits, 2020 is our deadline.
So when do we really need we need to make a final decision here pretty quick, don't we, on if we're gonna get a plant designed and get it redesigned and what we gotta do to do it? We gotta, how much longer can we go before we have to make that decision?
Probably only another year.
Yeah.
I
Next
know.
year, you're not gonna make the decision.
Was he talking about going to look at the plant,
I
the
thought it was an
algae?
18-month process to get it built.
Do we know when that's gonna be?
We haven't heard.
You haven't heard. So there's new technology that Brad's looking into to determine, you know, there's the one where you have the algae and you could potentially sell that and make money. So he's still looking into a lot of options. There have been a lot of meetings, many hours put in to try to decide what's the best way to go for this sewer upgrade.
That, you know, that thing with Brad, so will everybody jump on the bandwagon and drive the market down, or what do you think?
I asked him that. I said, what happens when it becomes such a saturated market? And he said, there's an indefinite need for the algae. Isn't that what he said?
Yeah, I've done a little bit of research on the internet, and a lot of that algae is going to be used for biofuels, and so that could be forever.
He was listing off all the uses, and I was amazed at all the uses.
Then the other thing I'm thinking about we really need to pursue, and is that President Trump talks about shovel-ready jobs that are private, public enterprises that go together. If we can get somebody a private enterprise that wants to come in with us on this for the algae purpose, then maybe we could get federal money to help us do this. So I think it's something we're going to be kind of the front end, and that's what he wants. And you could put like $1 billion or something into this type of stuff. So I think we ought to be looking at that.
Okay, so what did you call that? Can you shovel to what?
Shovel ready.
Shovel ready. Okay.
Yeah, and it's a public. And he really, and they're going to really work on ones that are public-private enterprises together, not just the city jobs. So.
Okay. All right. So we are above average on our sewer rates, but I foresee that changing. Our storm costs, we are below average. The average is $6.22. We charge $5.43. Our garbage can costs were below average. We're at $11.02. The average is $11.34. And that's just for the first black can. I didn't put in recycling because a lot of cities
but there's some of
have
these
it
things
done.
that I want to point out. We have our own garbage. We have our own landfill. So, in my opinion, it should be a benefit to the residents. That should
Well,
be
we
a
have our
little cheaper.
own
I'm not saying the
landfill,
cheapest.
but it still costs to have those trucks. It still costs
I
to have
agree.
those employees. So, yeah, and they still have to process
Well,
it out there.
I agree, but I don't want to be. I don't want. It's got to be competitive in the market. I don't want. We have our own landfill.
Well, I think we're pretty competitive.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, but it's still, you still have those costs. That just because you have your own landfill, it doesn't take away the trucks, the employees, the overhead, all that stuff.
Right.
So,
That's where the question of economies of scale comes in.
yeah.
So we have it, and it's nice that we have it, but if a large place can do it for that much less, is it that much of a benefit to have it to save it if we can't provide economies of scale and a lower price?
Okay, so this is the electric rates, and we are the highest residential, but commercial and industrial, we are not the highest. Springville's by far the highest, but I just did residential since that's what we're focusing on, but yeah. Okay. And so when you put our property tax and our utility rates all together, this is where we sit. It's about $192 a month for a Payson resident to live in Payson. The average in the Utah counties that are listed below, it's $197. So we're right there. We're right in the middle of the pack.
So now they're figuring out what average water use is and average electric use is.
Yep. So you can go back and look at all these things. It tells you, like for water, 11,000 gallons November through April, and 29,000 gallons through May
So
through
where's the
October.
electric? How many kilowatts are they showing on that?
That one, so electric's a lot more complicated,
Is
and
it-
I
is
did
that
not
tiered
understand,
rates
so
and-
I just took their numbers and put on there, but I can send you that study that Provo sent to me. And I asked Ron to look it over and say, does this look okay? He said yes, but he's not here to have him explain it to me. Because, yeah, once you look at the spreadsheets, it kind of blows your mind.
Provo things. It sure is, it helps a lot.
Yeah, I went and took the guy gift card.
It really helps.
On my own. I didn't charge Payson City. I did that on my own. So CPI increase on utility rates. So right now, the CPI increase is about 2.7%. So if we were to increase water, sewer, storm, and sanitation, I don't want to touch electric. I just don't want to go there. But it would be, so for water, we go from 46.31 to 47.47. We'd still be below average, and that would bring about 50,000 for the city. Sewer, we'd go to 45.49 from 44.38. It would be about 70,000. Storm would be about, we go from 543 to 557.
So I want to back up on the storm. How does that affect our commercial customers?
I don't know. I didn't do commercial. I just did
So
residential.
you wouldn't include that in the CPI?
No, you would. But I don't.
I don't think that's a true number then.
Well, I just did, so what I did is I took our total storm revenue and just times it by, or increased it by 2.5%. And that's what it came out to be. Because that was the quick and easy way, because I don't have time to go account by account. So I just took total revenue, increased it 2.5. And then sanitation. So you can see that we're still below average on everything but sewer.
What do the cities up and down the valley normally do? They have CPIs in place, or are they doing what we've kind of always done in the past, which is we kind of pick and choose whatever the latest crisis is?
Yeah, when I was at Provo, we didn't do the CPI. We had, that was, all I had to do is, enterprise fund stuff, public works stuff. I didn't have the whole entire city. And I would take the 10-year master plan that they had, put it in and project where we needed to be, and then they would do the rate increases to get to where we needed to be.
So did they do them every year then? Was it a yearly thing for rate increases?
It was a yearly rate. We would study the rates if we were okay on one, but on the other, but yes, they look at rates every year. And I think Provo just adopted a year or two ago a 5-year plan to increase all their rates.
Yeah, because we've kind of done some of the same thing, meaning we'll do it for a while and then we stop and say we're not going to do it. I just wanted to know whether all the cities or the majority of them just had something automatic every year that there was a CPI increase, or whether they're doing a
I don't know.
look-see every year.
We could probably send out I could send out an email to my other finance.
In Spanish Fork, according to the conversations in the SUBPS meeting that I go to, is that they're increasing their base rate quite a bit. And they're going to gradually tear it up, and their base rate will be higher than ours.
On electric?
Spanish Fork.
Is that on electric or everything?
Electric.
Electric. Yeah. Well, and, on that electric rate study, Lehigh, their residents are being subsidized by all the businesses. Their rates are low, and they're not even covering their costs. That was one of Dave Berg pointed it out to Lehigh. So, they're kind of skewing our numbers because Lehigh is the lowest, but they're also being subsidized by the commercial and industrial rates. And that's it.
So what did that end up with? 106? What is that figure? 160,000 plus?
No, what is that? 120, 140, 160? Yeah. Did you say 160? Oh, I thought you said 106.
No, 160.
Yeah.
So did we do the CPI last year? I can't remember.
No, we didn't. All we did was water last year. We did a $3 increase on both the pressurized irrigation and the culinary.
We haven't done it for a couple of years because the year before we did the sewer.
Yeah. We proposed doing a storm CPI when we did the sewer, but that was not approved.
I'm kind of thinking that it's just off the top of my head, but CPI kind of makes sense because it keeps up with at least where we are, and same with truth and taxation. That's trying to, it costs more every year.
It does.
And it's got to be paid for some way. If we don't keep up, we just get farther behind. So.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And that's one of the frustrations supervisors, departments have, is they're expected to keep doing the same with less sources. So it is a concern.
I'm good with this. Other than I'm not the electrical, I don't want to go any higher.
No, and that's why I didn't include that one.
I talked to Springville's manager a while back, and he said Springville had the highest rates. for quite some time, and they just made a conscious decision they weren't gonna raise rates, and the others passed them, and now nobody talks about their rates.
Yeah.
But they didn't lower them or anything, they just said, we're not gonna raise it for several years.
On their electrical or on their?
On their electrical.
No. Well, I'm with you, Scott. I think we should look at it except for electrical.
That's,
Did we need a motion on this, or what do we need?
yes, you guys have to adopt this tentative budget, and so we'll just keep working with it, and then June 21st will be our public hearing on it. It's not a public hearing, it's just for you guys to adopt it, keep working with it, and then June 21st will be our public hearing where public can come and express their concerns and add their input, which I hope they do.
So we approved the tentative budget, we'll have from now till the end of June and maybe August if you do the
So we can
taxation.
still do some.
You can still amend,
Yes.
you can change,
Yep.
but we do have to have the tentative budget approved tonight.
So can I have a question, then you can make the motion? So we will get an updated tentative budget fairly
Yes.
quickly?
Yep, I can just
Is
send it out.
this going to be on the city website so
Yep.
everybody can look at it?
After tonight, I wanted to make sure we went through and then make any changes that you give me and then put it up there. Yeah. And it's at the public meeting notice website, they can access.
Oh, I know they do it
That right
there, but I'd like to
yeah.
see it on the city website.
Yep.
So
I'm going to post it on
I-
Facebook and the website.
Again, several of these
out.
councilmen
Yeah.
ran with the,
More transparency.
more transparency. We need to make sure the public has a chance to see this.
Yep.
So Sarah, in your budget, did you include the CPI then?
No, I didn't. 'Cause
So that's not
I didn't-
included.
I didn't want to put up the perception up that, oh geez, they had to do this wage increase and boy, what a coincidence, they had to raise their rates. I wanted to balance without that. So citizens know we did not raise rates to cover wage increases. We did that by, property tax from last
Smart.
year. The sales tax has increased, that we cut. It's just like our health insurance. We
Got health care.
cut that back. So I wanted them to know that we're not trying to pull any funny business.
So when does it end basically on, how much is it gonna raise the utility bill? $2-3? What?
Well,
I'm just
yeah,
trying to
I mean,
figure
you
it
can
out.
see right there, it's like $1.30 on that one, $1.36. So, I don't, yeah. maybe-
$2.40.
Yeah.
All right, I'll make the motion that we approve the tentative budget with this included.
The CPI. And do you also want me to include money for the front office in addition to the?
Yes, yes, with a strong suggestion from me that we keep this renovation on track for the following years. We've got to change how we live here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll add these changes and then send an updated budget and get it posted on our website.
And that still gives us the option for our truth and taxation.
Yeah, you'll decide that June 21st when we get
Just
the
so
rates.
it's all, I just wanna make sure it's all
Yep.
on the same.
So we put it on the motion?
I'll second it.
We got a motion and a second. We need to review the motion, or has everybody got it? Scott?
Aye.
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 Okay, motion carries. Next on the agenda is resolution memorandum of understanding.
You need to, oh, you're just gonna read, never mind, I'll talk about it later.
Okay. For the Payson properties too, for the regarding Fort Bay.
Mayor and Council, we have a proposed MOU between Payson Properties, 2 LLC and Payson City that would move toward purchasing the 4 Bay property. The first step in the MOU would be to do an appraisal and to determine the value by appraisal. If it's over, the appraisal's $2 million or less, then we can opt out of that. If it's over, then we work toward selling that property to this company. And I'm working on the 4 Bay property. So I know you've had some meetings, we've had some discussions. If the council wants us to continue to work on this more, we can do it. If you want to adopt the agreement, or if you want to table it and let us continue to work with them, we can do that. So it's up to how the council wants to proceed.
Do we have discussion?
Can we up the appraisal rate to 2.5, 2.75, 3, somewhere in there?
Yeah, we can propose that and bring it back to you, or if you want to approve it, subject to increasing that number, and see if Payson Properties would accept that.
So there's, for those of you that aren't out there that can't see the memorandum here, there's a lot of risk involved on Payson's, not a lot of risk, there's some risk involved on Payson's side. There's a little risk involved on Payson Property side. It's not as solid as some things, from my perspective, as we would like. I will say that I still think it's going to get us closer to being where we want to be, and I think there's goodwill and good faith in here that's been exhibited over a long period of time. But I acknowledge that there are some serious concerns.
I guess I have an idea. So that we all feel a little more comfortable, why can't we just pay for an appraisal before we even have signed the paper?
We could do our own appraisal. I mean, I think Payson Properties wanted to have the MOU in place so that they can spend money getting their LLC in place and the appraisal. But if the council wanted to wait and do their own appraisal, we can go that direction as well.
Yeah, I think we can get appraisal probably for like $2,500, so it's not a lot of money.
I think this is an important enough decision that I agree with this. I think we ought to just spend the money and get the appraisal.
So do you want to just table the agreement and we'll work toward getting an appraisal?
Motion that.
Yeah.
Go
Go ahead.
I was going to say, if we do that, what's the timetable on this? I mean, we're pretty far into this.
Takes about 3 weeks, probably 3 to 4 weeks for our commercial appraisals to get out there and do that.
So in 1 month we bring it back.
And I just want to make a few comments. We really want to, there's a few things, we really want to be able to retire some bonds that we have so we can move forward in the city. And if there's any way possible, we want to keep this property in a pristine state that other people can use it. But we have to be careful of how we do things so we don't put the city at risk. And I think that's our challenge right now, is trying to figure out a way to minimize the risk to the city but accomplish what we want. So I think it's something it's taking some time now, but we really need to take the time, because we're talking about $5 million, or trying to eliminate $5 million of debt. It's not just a small decision that you just quickly make. You have to make sure that it's set up so we minimize the risk involved. So I agree with Scott. I think we can just go out and get an appraisal and see where we are and move forward.
Do you want to make that motion, or? Go ahead.
I make a motion that we table the MOU and go out and the city goes out and gets an appraisal from an MIA appraiser.
I'll second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? The wheels are turning. Yeah.
Yeah, I just really like to see us move forward. I think this is a good opportunity for Payson. I think it will help us identify who we are. Like we've said in previous meetings, it's low-hanging fruit. But I do agree, I mean, the guarantee is almost there that it will be locked up and preserved, but the cost would be pretty high to Payson financially. And that's the big concern. So I wish we were moving forward today. I really wish that we had something done.
If I could make a comment, I think this is a good step to get that confidence level, because we as public servants, we have to be very concerned about how it's going to impact us financially and in other ways. And I think I think is a very good solution to do it and not delay it more than we need to. I think we can be on this within a month.
And I agree with you, Mike. I think we need to be careful in what we're doing. And we need to know, for these gentlemen that have been here and have worked so hard, those in the back, that it's still there for you to use. In the meantime, it's not like we're stopping people from going up there. It's still there, but I think we need to really make wise decision on this.
I think the intended goal for both parties on this agreement is to preserve and keep that
Right.
Yes,
undeveloped and have a conservation easement on there. So that's the goal that I think both parties want to accomplish. It's the devil in the detail. So
Okay.
we're
And
working on it.
then this also will give us a chance maybe to tweak that MOU a little bit, make it, as much as we can tweak it, make it a little bit clearer.
So we have a motion and we have a second. Let's vote on it, Mike.
Aye.
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 Okay, motion carries. Now, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'd like to make a motion that we adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.